Hello everyone and welcome to this week's video. Today I'm going to be explaining electric cars, how electric cars work. Electric cars are actually really simple, and that's part of the reason why they're so awesome. There's really not too much to them once you understand the basics of the components involved. So basically all that we've got going on inside an electric car, you've got a battery, and that's your power source. It's going to store your energy to move your vehicle. You've got a controller, and this is going to control the voltage sent to your motors. And then you've got your motors, and your motors are going to be connected to your wheels. So your motors are going to be what power the wheels, and so they're going to take that voltage from the controllers and rotate the wheels and move your car forward. Now, you could have a gear reduction here or some sort of gearbox in order to change the gearing a little bit between the motor and the wheel, but typically you won't need anything like a transmission like you have with an ICE engine, because you don't have a smaller power band where you can only produce useful torque. Electric motors can go up to higher RPMs, and you can pretty much do the entire acceleration from 0 to whatever the top speed is with one gear. So some of the advantages of an electric car: well, there's no exhaust, so there's no direct pollution from the vehicle. You're not emitting emissions. And a lot of people will say, okay, well, it's only as clean as the electricity that you use to charge it. And that is true. One of the things I just like to mention when people say this is power generation by big power companies. They use fairly efficient systems. They're not like our ICE engines, which aren't really that efficient. So pretty much most of the time, anything is going to be better than using an internal combustion engine to create your power. So, of course, this will get better with time also as we get into more greener and renewable energy sources. The negative effects of electric cars will be far less than gasoline cars or diesel cars or any internal combustion engine type of vehicle. So the next huge advantage: cheaper energy costs. You can save about 3 times as much. Electricity is far cheaper than gasoline, so that's just a major benefit. Another huge benefit: less moving parts. This means less wear, less maintenance. You don't have things like the engine with all these moving, touching, rotating parts. You don't have that transmission with all those gears and synchros that are wearing out and clutches inside of it. You don't have a differential. You don't have to. You can use a differential and power a driveline just like you would power it in an ICE car, but it makes a little more sense just to power the wheels directly. So way less maintenance, no oil changes. Basically, you're going to put Jiffy Lube out of business with your electric car, or they'll just have to drastically alter their business model. No wasted energy when the car isn't moving. So when you come up to a stoplight in your typical ICE car, your engine's going to sit there and idle. Well, the electric car doesn't need to do that. It has no use for it unless you're running something like the AC or heater or something like that. Then it can take energy from the battery, but it's not going to be using any energy pointlessly like an ICE engine does. Finally, drivetrain potentially lasts longer. Things like AC motors, you don't have contact, the wear points that you do of an engine, and an AC motor can last far longer than an internal combustion engine. One thing to point out is the battery may not last quite as long, but it lasts for a decent amount of time, and technology is always improving, so that's always getting better. Some of the negative effects, or the negative points of an electric car: why don't you want to buy one? Well, the range isn't quite there yet. So it seems like modern electric cars are somewhere around the 100-mile range. Tesla's got models with a bit further range, but of course they're very expensive. The charge time is high versus gasoline, so when you need a recharge, the Nissan Leaf could take maybe 8 hours or longer than 8 hours just to charge up the battery. People don't have that kind of time on their hands. They want to go to a pump and fill up quickly. And there are quicker chargers out there. It's still going to be about 20 to 30 minutes to charge up for a good amount of battery charge. And then, of course, like anything great in the world, it is expensive. So the technology is always getting cheaper, and that's why, for example, the Nissan Leaf just dropped in price. But it's always improving as well, so that keeps it expensive, and they are typically way more expensive than your bottom line internal combustion cars. So if you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Also, I'm going to list a bunch of links in the video description. I'm going to have all kinds of videos about electric cars, that you may want to check out. So just check out the video description, and I'll be changing that as I release more. Thanks.